Welcome to another What Is It Wednesday video. I'm currently heading to a location that has me really intrigued for a few reasons. Number one, because this location was a town that started but never came to fruition. Also, the item is over 100 years old, took 6 years to complete, and is involved with making underground anthracite mining not only more efficient, but less expensive. If you want to learn more, you know what to do. Just come along with me for my latest What Is It Wednesday video. We do have to scale down this embankment, and where we have to go is right down there. So once I scale down, we'll get down there, check it out, and I'll share some details with you. Made it down the initial embankment, was immediately faced with another one which I'm currently descending down, and you may be able to hear some rushing water. And where we're going is right down here. And the water is not clean by any means, if that's any inclination as to what we're looking at. Oh, we got some cattails, as I like to call them, nature's corn dogs, and some pretty murky water. Where's the water coming from? Well, I did give you a hint before. So let me slowly reveal what we're looking at here. This is a pretty unique site. And what's probably not coming through on camera is that right now it's about 25 degrees out. And where I'm looking, right in between the pipes here, there is some steam. That's because this water is warm. Why is it warm? Because it's coming from deep beneath the surface. Looks like almost giant saw blades right there. But as we can see, the water is expelling over this little falls area, but the source of it is back around this corner. Now with how close I am here, not only can I see the steam, I can feel it a little bit, and it feels considerably warmer than the ambient temperature. That steam is at least 30 to 40 degrees warmer than what it is right now. Now, in order for me to give you a view of to where the water is coming from, I need to trek around this wetlands area, come up over there, and on the other side we'll have a straight on view, and we can probably get up along the side of it and get closer to it as well. So I'm going to do that, and once I get over there, I will share some details as to what we're looking at and why it's here. Well, my plan backfired. I'm going to show you why in just a moment. So we just came from over there where I said it looks like giant saw blades. That's where the water's coming over the little falls there. And in front of us is what I'm calling a collection or settling pond. But it's more than just that. So if we pan down and we look just through here, there's water bubbling up right there. I don't know where that's coming from, but it did stand out to me. I heard the sound. I'm like, what's that coming from? Right there. But the water is being diverted. I'm actually glad we came over here because we could see more of what's going on. So there's a little channel here cut away in between these berms, and it looks like a borehole with a monitoring device on top of it. And you can see they have some plywood and sheet metal pushing the water to the right. So on the other side of this berm right here is another collection or a settling pond. So we can't cross here. I do need to physically go back to where we were and go around the other side of it because, well, this water is pretty nasty. I'm seeing different colors of like green, yellow, brown. So it's not worth me even attempting to cross through this water. You know, upon further inspection, I don't think that's a borehole at all. I think this is just a platform, and the pipe beneath it is not protruding deeper than like an inch into the water. I think it's just an open pipe, maybe with a probe or something sticking through it, connected to this box here that is connected to some type of wire. So just wanted to correct myself. I don't believe that's a borehole, just a platform for monitoring the conditions. Well, it turns out approaching it gave us a pretty good view and access to it. Here we are. The source of all this nasty water coming out directly beneath me. Not too much is visible today. Water levels are pretty high coming out of here. What I'd like to do right now, though, is share some details with you. I did do some research prior to coming here, learning a little bit more about what we're looking at. So I want to tell you about what this town was supposed to be and learn about why this was created, how it was created, what its intended use was for, and what's happening with it today. So for starters, this was known as the Lausanne Tunnel, the same name of a town that it once existed in, but the town never really came to fruition, but the town does date back to 1805. It was never fully developed. It only had a few things like a sawmill and a tavern, but it was a critical loading point for anthracite coal. The town basically was overshadowed by the nearby town of Mach Chunk, more commonly known today as Jim Thorpe. This was built by and for the Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company. Construction started in 1906, and it took 6 years to complete. Now keep in mind, this length is really impressive. This tunnel right here beneath us goes 4.5 miles in that direction. That's a really lengthy underground tunnel. Now the tunnel was driven from opposite ends to meet in the middle, and the tunnel height is 8 feet by 12 feet wide. So after it was completed in 1912, it was built to alleviate water filling up in the anthracite mines from the mine pool and natural water table. It helped save lots of money from having to run pumps 24/7 because, as we know, a lot of these deep underground mines are beneath the water table, and with the natural progression of water seeping into the surface, well, mines are always having damp, wet conditions. A lot of mines, depending on their location, have to run, at the time, steam-powered pumps 24/7 to keep the water out so that the miners could work down there to extract the coal. So they created this as a natural expel point for that water. You don't have to run the pumps, the water flows out naturally. Now when this was being created, mules hauled the rock out from the tunnels, and at the time, this was the largest feat of engineering ever undertaken by the company. It carries approximately 4,000 gallons of contaminated water per minute, and today it's become a significant source of mine drainage pollution, contributing to 100 pounds of aluminum and 200 pounds of iron that are expelled into the Lehigh River daily. Now looking at today, it's just a concrete portal, but knowing that it goes 4.5 miles in that direction and they worked from opposite ends and met in the middle, that's pretty remarkable for the engineering back at that time, because they didn't have the modern technology like we have today. This is well over 100 years old, 120 years old from when it was started in 1906. There's actually signs that a beaver's been here. This tree right here is getting cut up. You can see the teeth marks and the wood chips on the ground, so this tree may fall in the future. Now it's hard to see it, but I see LC and N Company, Lehigh Coal and Navigation Company, and it's stamped 1906, but it's covered in some nature's carpet there. I want to try a trick I do on the old abandoned railroad tracks and old headstones to see the writing. Not sure if the microphone's doing it justice, but the roar that you hear in there, it's pretty loud. It's like a deep rumble, and it almost sounds like a waterfall in there. I wish it was lower so that we could get some better views inside, but I think this, look at the water line, looks like normal capacity or normal level. I mean, there's a clear defined orange water line, so this might be what it is normally. I think times it does rise, but I'm sure there's times it does go lower, especially during like a drought season. But regardless, it does look pretty ominous. We know that's 8 feet tall and widens out to 12 feet wide, according to the research I found. It doesn't look like that quite here. It may widen out beneath the surface. But regardless, it is standing the test of time, holding up quite well, and this site is being monitored, as we know, with the different devices we've seen down near those saw blades and that diversion area by the settling pond. They're actively monitoring this site, but a lot of pollution coming out of here, and this water eventually does make it into the nearby Lehigh River. I'm just taking the time to appreciate what they went through to create this. I mean, they bored a tunnel nearly 5 miles long back in 1906 to 1912. I mean, and to know that they were working the same direction and they met in the middle. I mean, they had some knowledgeable people involved with this project. And I bet you they had no idea that eventually the coal operations would cease to exist, but this tunnel would live on. Still serving the same purpose it was intended for, except now it's contaminated water coming out rather than, for the most part, fresh water. Because as the mine's filled up, the rock and the material is mixing with oxygen and water, and it turns into AMD, acid mine drainage. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but basically that's what we're looking at, AMD. You know, I was thinking it would be neat if this water level got lower to come with like a kayak, not to go in, but to get up close to it and peer in like with a flashlight and see what it looks like in there, but you're not gonna see a whole lot, obviously. It's nearly a 5-mile tunnel. It's gonna be pitch black in there, but I always like to try to see things in more detail than what you're able to see from your normal vantage point like we are right here. So that's just me hoping and wishing. But to think though that this is the last remaining item or structure from a town that no longer exists is also rather fascinating. The sawmill's gone, the tavern's gone, the whole area's been reconfigured, and this town dates back to roughly 1805, and it got overtaken by a more popular, more substantial nearby town, originally known as Mock Chunk, today Jim Thorpe. But this is definitely, as I said, standing the test of time, and who knows what the future is going to be. I think this is going to be like this probably for another 100 years. It's doing its job, it's expelling the mine water, and unless they come up with a way to filter it, it is going to be contaminated water coming out, 4,000 gallons a minute. That's a lot. So time will tell, but I at least wanted to come here, check it out for myself, and share it with all of you. I thought it would make a great What Is It Wednesday video. So anyways, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this location. And if you have any details or information you'd like to share about the former town of Lausanne that no longer exists, share them down below. I know I would definitely appreciate it. I'm sure many other viewers would as well. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.